The Gates of Camino.
I think Harry would like me to leave.
Well, I don't think that's necessary.
I think Harry thinks it is.
Harry thinks if you call him Harry one more time, he's going to make you eat that cat.
Gene Hackman is Harry Mosby
Hello, Harry.
in Night Moves.
Well, come on, take a swing at me, Harry, the way Sam Spade would.
He's a private investigator.
My daughter, Deli. Would you believe Delilah? Well, she's gone.
How long gone?
2 weeks. Go find her.
Making a living
Well, let's say 125 a day and legitimate expenses.
from other people's lives.
You can get cheaper.
Can I get better? You're hired.
Making a mess of his own.
God, you're really prime, Ellen. You know that? I catch you screwing another guy and you attack my lifestyle!
Lifestyle has nothing to do with it.
Night Moves. It's a mystery
I'm looking for Deli Grassner.
Deli isn't around here anymore.
where the suspects are also the victims.
I want to know what I walked into. Ask your wife.
Well, are we going to talk about it?
But sure ball run with it.
Where the questions
All right, what's it all about, Mosby?
Is there still much smuggling going on around here? Do the dogs have fleas?
Where were you when Kennedy got shot?
have too many answers. Where every clue is a lie.
I've been listening to your ping pong talk long enough. What was in Marv Elman's plane? Drugs? Was it drugs?
Night Moves.
Check. Check.
Ah, it's a beauty.
It's a game where every player is a pawn.
Harry Mosby, isn't it?
Every move is a wrong one. And the winner loses everything.
I want to know what it's all about.
I told you what it's all about.
You, what the hell are you all about?
You're asking the wrong question.
Gene Hackman in Night Moves.
What's happening, man?
Oh man, we gotta just. I mean,
In a doozy
I'm,
tonight.
I know. I'm probably like 6 licks into a tequila bottle and a little Cazadores Añejo. And
All right.
and this is just the movie that you gotta have some tequila. You gotta just
Yeah, we're talking Arthur Penn's Night Moves, 1975. Gene Hackman, the
talking about
classic.
the night moves.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. When did you first get into this?
Just
movie?
now,
Would
just recently. I mean, I've been wanting to see it for a long time, and I've told you about it. I mean, yeah, I think we've talked about it for like a year or two. Where
Yeah.
I've basically been like, I keep hearing about this movie, and it's one of those that sometimes it'll be on streaming and then it'll be off, and I just miss it. But I had heard about it, and I had just heard a lot of good things. Like, hey, and I didn't know anything about the movie except it's sort of a noirish movie with Gene. And I knew that Jimmy Woods is in it. And that's about all I knew. And you were like, you got to see it. You got to see it. And finally, about a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago, it was on YouTube. Like, I rented it on YouTube and I finally saw it. And I was just like, holy shit. This is another gem. This is a gem of a movie.
Absolutely. Let's tell really quick. It's kind of hard to be quick about this, though. This is a
deep
neo-noir. Absolutely, it's a complicated plot, but in short, Gene Hackman plays a private investigator, Harry Mosby. He's a retired ex-football player, and now he's a private investigator working on his own. So he gets called to a case where a woman's daughter is missing, and he's basically, and she's an ex-actress. And, her husband's dead, who was a producer, and she's kind of living off his money. It's funny.
Oh yeah, those are the
drunk.
kind of actresses we love.
She's hilarious in it. And it becomes like your film noir from there. It's a man who's on a quest, there's the femme fatale, there's, all the mysteries and like the trappings of film noir. And he has to find the missing girl.
Weird ass characters. Just the
strange characters.
The weird, like, what do you call call them red herrings or
Yeah, there are the red herrings of all that. They're in there, and we'll get into everything. Warning, as always, we spoil, but there is probably my favorite non-Hitchcock MacGuffin ever in a movie, which we'll talk about, like kind of the way it. You know what a MacGuffin? We've talked about that.
Yeah, we have. It's the thing that I used to know.
Yeah.
This, but
Basically, I mean, movies have been doing it forever, but Hitchcock made it
right.
famous with the term MacGuffin, which is just basically something that keeps the characters going, but the audience doesn't care at all about. Like,
And it doesn't really matter to the plot of the movie, really.
correct. It
But
has
it's
nothing to do
something.
with it almost.
Yeah.
But he's basically searching for a missing girl who's Melanie Griffith, and so he goes from L.A. to Florida
To the
and
Keys.
Yeah, he's on the Keys. So it's like almost half LA. It's like a half LA, half Florida. I have a thing I call Florida noir, and there's like a bunch of film noirs that take place in Florida, and this is one of them. And it's kind of a weird little sub genre that I like, like Body Heat.
Oh yeah,
there's
it's
a
that
few of
gator.
them.
It's just that like just slimy weather,
Well, yeah,
just
it's like instead
fucking
of that
humid.
dark black and white, it's that sun,
Yeah.
heat, sweat.
Well,
It's
to
pretty
me,
cool.
this movie is like, to me, when you say that, it kind of makes me think this is another sun-drenched movie, like a sun, like Cutter's Way is a sun-drenched noir. This is that same idea. It's just it's there is nighttime in the movie, but the movie really rocks during the day. And it's hard to do noir movies during the day, but this is one of those that does it well during the day.
Yeah. And he's an interesting character, and we'll get into everything. Now, he's married to a woman played by Susan Clark. Susan Clark, he was in tons of 70s films, ended up becoming famous for the TV show Webster. So
and she shows her tits in this. Man.
She has in a couple movies.
She's showing them titties in this. She's got some good titties.
Yeah, Susan Clark. So so that's his wife. He finds out she's having an affair on him. So it's a kind of like a subplot that's going on in the movie, and he catches her coming out of a movie theater. She comes out walking, and she's with Harris, played by Harris Yulin.
Yes, and we talked about this before we did this. Is that dude is just one of those great ones. He's in everything.
Yeah,
he's just grizzled old fuck, and he always looks old, but he's probably like 19 in this movie.
I know, right? He looks like he's like 50.
But he looks like 50 something.
But there's a lot of good old school actors like Edward Benz and John Crawford, and there's a lot of good actors. But he goes
Kenneth Mars. Oh shit.
Yeah,
Kenneth Mars has a small part.
Yeah, he had a small part. He's really funny too. So there's I'm gonna get sidetracked if we keep like rambling,
I know.
But we really do have to get into a little bit of what he's going through with this plot, though, and then we'll fuck around and say shit.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But Harry Mosby, Gene Hackman is, he's searching. It's not really a mystery where she's at. He knows he's in Florida. She has a stepdad named Tom Iverson, played by John Crawford, the old school actor, and he used to be married to her mom, and so now he lives in Florida. She's down staying with him. Gene Hackman finds her down there pretty quickly, and then you find out she's fucking her dad as well. It's fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, he's like, there ought to be a law against it.
There is. That's what he said. There is.
Yeah, he's like, there is.
And right before he even says that, he's like, well, I got to tell you, Harry. He's like, he just says it in such a like, well, it's just tough. Look at her. It's like kind of like just trying to rationalize it so well. It's so weird how he's just like, well, I get. He doesn't even say inappropriate. He says like, I think I was just a little bit wrong with her.
Yeah. And then the girl, who's basically kind of is the Jennifer Warren character, who is your femme fatale of the movie. You don't really know where she's at, and she's married. I believe she's married to Tom Iverson now, and that's kind of the love interest it becomes with Gene Hackman, because he stays with Susan Clark, but they're kind of she's cheating on him, so he's down there hooking up he ends up getting with her for one moment, but she's kind of acts as the femme fatale, and that's this weird dynamic down there is, those three, Tom, Paula is her name, I think, Jennifer Warren's character.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Deli,
Paula,
who's
yeah.
Melanie Griffith. So Melanie
Melanie,
Griffith
oh
is
my
so
God.
crazy in it. She goes
I
skinny
mean,
dipping, and I was like,
listen,
oh my God.
do we even do
Hilarious.
okay, do you, let's dive more because Melanie is gonna we got an hour to talk about her in this. So let's like and what you're kind of digging into with Gene that is so important is that he's like lovelorn. Like that's a weird it's
Mhm.
really good, but that's a weird part of this movie. That's a strange kind of character, like a coloring of this character is that, it's not only that he's, former athlete who, you've got that kind of shade and
Yeah.
he's a detective and it's more, but the fact not only that his wife is cheating on him, but it just adds that flavor of, it's just an internal thing. Like he's looking for some kind of he doesn't even know what he's looking for, but he's
Right.
looking for approval. He's looking for a woman's approval or in the you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
he's
and it reminds me
looking
in the 70s how like LA in the 70s, everyone just cheats on everybody. There was a movie called Welcome to LA, which basically that was the
Yes.
plot where everyone just fucks
Yeah.
everybody in
Everybody's
LA,
just fucking everybody.
And that's kind of what it was.
Yeah.
It becomes so deep because there is kind of like a little bit of like a Hollywood backstory to it, with the stunt world. So he
The
goes whenever
stunt world.
so he meets a guy named Joey Ziegler, played by Edward Benz, who was the old character actor from 12 Angry Men and tons of stuff. He is an old stunt guy. He ends up finding out that because this is how they're all connected. Tom was a stunt guy, and the mom was just hooking up with whoever she could.
She was
It's just a crazy,
rocking.
circle of people.
Oh my God.
So yeah, and that's when he meets that guy Marv Ellman, the pilot.
Yeah, who's
That
another
guy,
stunt
that
guy.
actor, Anthony Costello died of AIDS. Actually, like less than 10 years after that movie.
In my head, right before you said what he died of, I was thinking, I bet he died of. I mean, I really was thinking you're going to say that. I swear to God. And the fact is, I'm looking now, this dude, you're right, 1983.
Oh, 83.
He
Okay.
was
All right.
45. Like, what in the fuck? He went to the
80s, man.
Yeah, I mean the 80s, and he's Italian, and he went to the University of Florence in Italy. So when we go to Italy, we gotta watch out. We gotta watch out so we don't get none of that.
So we started finding out like there is this connection between, the Hollywood world and Tom's character where Melanie Griffith's down staying. And that's really where the MacGuffin comes in. So it's really about like, I think, we talked about it. It was more about, which was where the title comes from. So we'll talk about that. The title's called Night Moves. It's based off of a book that's a different title, but he's carrying around a chessboard with him. In the movie, right before he hooks up with Jennifer Warren's character, she asks him why he's playing by himself, and he explains this story of this famous chess tournament. And this guy had a game won, and he was 3 night moves away from winning, but he didn't know he had that move, so he didn't do it, and he lost the game. He's like, it must have haunted him ever since. So that's kind of
and then he even says right after that, he's like, it haunts me.
Yeah,
it
haunts me. I was even born
or I
yet.
regret
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like so.
So yeah, and so that's basically his character as a detective. He's a few moves from solving this that he has, but he seems to because the end is sort of up in the
and
air
at
of
the
what
end,
happens.
I mean, even at the end, because when he's on the boat at the very end, right before the shit goes down, when it's just him and Jennifer Warren on the boat, she says to him, "Isn't it enough that you solved it? Isn't that heavy?"
Right.
And what does he say? He says, "I didn't solve it. It just fell on me."
Yeah.
So it's
That's good, yeah.
it's like he finally realizes that in a way, I mean, to go to what you're talking about with the chess analogy or the fact that is that he wasn't looking for those moves. He thought he was still looking for those moves. He thought he was still a few moves away. And then he comes to grips like, I had no idea, it just hit me. Like, this is not something that I was actually even capable of solving. It just slapped me in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
You know what I hate
go ahead.
about 70s movies
Go ahead.
is she does it a few times in it, is
Oh
like when
God.
they do that like Humphrey Bogart thing. They're like, listen here,
Oh,
kid. I'm like, what the fuck
that's
can't you do that?
exactly. I couldn't stand that with her. I was like, give me a break. And here's the
Yeah, I hate
thing.
that shit.
It's like, I think I said this to you. I love this movie and I'll take it all. Like I'll take
Oh, of course.
there's only one thing I don't like in this movie, and that's her. I just couldn't
Do
do
you
it. But
not like her or do you not like her in this movie?
I
Because she's from
don't,
Slapshot. So I
and
do
I
like
love her
her.
in Slapshot.
Yeah.
She's great. I love Slapshot, but it's this. It's like I don't know what it is. I don't
It's the
know.
40s talk to me.
It's
That
the
takes
40s
me
talk. That's
right
what it
out.
is.
I'm
Yeah,
like, God, as soon as she did that, I hated her.
it's like she's trying to play, but because she's fantastic when she's not trying, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
But it's just that they're giving her this thing and it doesn't really, she's trying to be this attitude. But besides that, I mean, everything, every actor, just everything about the movie. I love the fact, okay, let's just bring it up. Let's just bring it up. Melanie. Oh my God.
Oh, I don't even think it's
Melanie.
legal to bring up Melanie, to be honest with
Now
you.
I saw it a second time, and the second time I saw it, the second time I watched it today, I did notice one thing is that he says she's 16. Now, for those of you who have not seen this movie out there, let me just tell you, the first time I watched this movie, I didn't hear him say that. And
Oh, yeah, I did.
she looks like she's 9 years old with tits. I mean, I'm like, how is she? Because she's naked in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, she's
She's
obviously
naked.
18. She's obviously of age, but
She
she
has
looks
to
so
be.
young. It
She
doesn't even
looks
feel normal
so.
watching it, to be
It
honest
does.
with you. I'm like,
I
oh,
s-
God.
because that's the one thing. She's got one of those faces that just looks young. It's like me. If I shave, I look like I'm 12 years old.
Well, it's
You know what I
until she
mean?
got her face mangled by that lion. Yeah.
Yeah, before that, she was like a baby.
Yeah.
So it's the fact that she's so sweet looking in the face, like just so kitty looking, but
Hmm.
she's got to be 18 because she's getting naked. I mean, it's like like Arthur was telling her, "Hey, please just don't keep your clothes on, please." And she just kept trying to take the. He's like, just keep it rolling. Melanie, you don't have to take clothes off. No, it's great. I mean, she was bonkers naked. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. Obviously she's of
it's
age,
like
but it's just like, yeah, she plays
crazy.
16. She looks probably younger than 16 or whatever. It's just like, yeah,
She looks 7 years old. I mean, in the face, not
yeah.
physically, not
No,
physically.
right.
And her stepdad, what was his name? What was that actor's name? It was Tom. Oh, John Crawford. He's just, I mean, when they find the boat not the boat, the plane, and it sunk,
Right. So they go
Oh yeah,
out
go ahead.
and
Yeah.
it's part of like, like I said, that we won't get you should probably watch this movie and then come back and listen to us talk because we're more or less like just
Because we're
kind
gonna
of talking
ruin this.
about the movie though.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of setups, and when you have a complicated mystery like this, especially with you and me talking, we're not
I
going to
know.
really make perfect
You're not.
linear sense of this.
Yeah.
But they do go out. Melanie Griffith goes skinny dipping, and it's
Skinny.
so
I mean,
funny
it's
though when she
like,
flips him off when she's under the boat in the window.
and she's completely naked, and then she just dives down, and then you just see her ass and pussy just sticking like right in the
Yeah, it was
camera.
like you couldn't
It's like, what
believe
the
it.
fuck?
And so they find a plane down there, and there's somebody in there. There's a plane crash, and there's fish nibbling at the skull and everything. You're like, oh shit. So they come back up, they leave, and then Gene Hackman now is taking Melanie Griffith back to LA to her mom. So he's found her, he's taken her back, and then John Crawford's character and Jennifer Warren are like, we're going to call the Coast Guard to come in and all that kind of stuff, and they'll get the airplane and body. So they take off and they think everything's fine. They get back to LA. And then Gene Hackman, he confronts Harris Yulin about his wife a couple times, but eventually, they're going to work it out kind of or whatever. But then they find out, he hears that Melanie Griffith died. and it comes out of nowhere. You're like, what like it doesn't happen on camera. You just hear about it. Like Melanie Griffith's dead. Right before that, he gets a voicemail from her though, and he's at his office, and it's like, "Hey Harry, it's Deli, and I just want to let you know if you want to know who." Like it seems like she's going to say if you want to know who killed or who
Yeah.
was the guy on the plane or something like that. It immediately like he turns it off because his wife shows up and everything like that. But we gotta get into your boy, Quentin James
Oh
Woods,
my
who is one
God,
of the great
Jimmy.
red herrings of the movie. He's very
Jimmy
young. It's
Wood.
one of his first.
It's perfect casting because James Woods is just a natural red herring. If you go to the grocery store and see Jimmy Woods, you think some shit's about to go down. You know what I mean? Because he just,
Yeah.
he's always doing coke. He's always boosting. He's always like, I mean, and especially at this time, my God, he's like, I mean, it's like he just rolled up and, like they
So
found
he
him on
has
the
a
street.
connection. He's like kind of off and on again with Melanie Griffith's character. But when they're on
Yeah.
a movie set, this is before the story even starts, before she leaves. When they're
Yeah.
on a movie set, she ends up hooking up with that pilot that is
Marv, or
ends up
whatever his
hooking up
name
with
is.
jokes up with Marv, and he ends up beating up James Woods.
So we
Whatever.
know that Jimmy Woods, like Quentin, doesn't like Marv.
Yeah, he's a
So it's
mechanic
like,
in the stunt world.
yeah.
He works on airplanes, motorcycle, everything, cars. And that's how Melanie Griffith dies. They get her he gets her an extras card. Remember Joey Ziegler's like, I got her an
Yeah.
extras card.
I was thinking
And
about mine. I was like, I got my SAG card. What the fuck?
so he gets her an extras so she's an extra, and they do a stunt, like a really quick like he said, it was a Keystone Cop gag. It's not caught on camera, but the car wrecks, she dies. Edward Binns' character, Joey Ziegler, is in a cast. They're kind of trying to watch the rushes. Gene Hackman is, but you can't really see what happens. But he goes back down to Florida, and he tries to confront James Woods on it. Remember, James Woods starts trying to hit him with the guitar, takes off.
But remember, he says to me, he's like, I didn't do it, but didn't she tell you that was Marv in the fucking airplane? So then it
Yeah.
becomes like, well, wait a minute. Did you kill Marv? Who, so it just is like another layer all of a sudden of like, not only is she dead, but now we got Marv is dead.
Yeah. And what's interesting about this movie, and it kind of ends up wrapping up towards the end, is you don't really know everything. You really only ever find out what Harry finds out. Because in the end, he solves the case, but he doesn't find out all the answers. We don't really even know if James Woods killed Marv, with the airplane. We don't know really what happens.
We don't
even know what happens in the car wreck with how Melanie Griffith really dies.
Because at the end of the day, there's so many questions. Like, since Melanie Griffith died, that means her mom gets her, her trust, gets her trust fund. That's like the whole, so the mom has a reason.
Yeah.
The mom is not very sad that she's dead either. And so you're like, well, wait a minute, did the mom have something to do with it? But then if the director is in on it, because he's the guy at the end, you start trying to think, like, what is the reason that,
well, then it turns into that MacGuffin that they're literally trying to bring in this old $500,000 statue or whatever in pieces. Again, you don't really get all the answers, though, of like, because the big reveal, and if anyone wants to turn us off right now, go ahead and turn it off and whatever, go watch the movie. But in the end, whenever he goes down and finally confronts Tom Iverson and everybody, and Jennifer Warren's character, he's down there, they find Quentin dead in the dolphin pool. Like, they find him dead.
Yeah.
That's when he pulls out his gun, and he ends up getting into a fist fight with Tom Iverson until Tom gets knocked out. John Crawford gets knocked out. Then it's just him and Jennifer Warren. They get on the boat and they start going out. That's when she says that line that you said, you've already solved the case and everything like that. But then they get there, and and she goes down and she pulls up one of the crates that has a piece of that statue. So all of a sudden you see an airplane coming down. He'd start shooting down at Gene Hackman, gets him in the leg
with an Uzi. I love that he had an Uzi,
and it's cool because it's a point of view. You're not supposed to know yet. It really is a mystery building up of like, okay, everyone seems kind of guilty, but who is like the killer? I guess you could say in the end, like who is the one? So all of a sudden, the plane goes into the water. Jennifer Warren's head's poking up, trying to wave the Gene Hackman. He's like, get out of the way, get out of the way. But it's pretty gruesome where the plane just skids off her head, and then it hits the boat with the statue, and all of a sudden it just kind of bursts apart and it crashes right into the water. So her whole face is, man, she's dead instantly. Her
She's
fucking
dead.
head's
Yeah.
off or whatever. Then Harry looks at that big window underneath the boat, and then you see who's in the airplane, and it's Joey Ziegler, Edward Binns' character, the old man who was in the car with Melanie Griffith, the stuntman who
Still with his
met at
broken
the
arm. Still with
the broken arm. He's trying to bang out of it. So it was he was, so in the end, he most likely he was with the mom Arlene. They were in it from the beginning, and
but they were also, but see, that's the question: was he in it with her, or was it all about this smuggling? Because they were smuggling that stuff. So that
yes,
so
I think getting the daughter Melanie Griffith out of the way was with the mom. But I think, yeah, you're right. You don't know all the pieces, so you just get a lot of it. Like I don't know. I don't know.
It kind of leaves it up like, okay, so who's who?
Because when they're at the football game, so Gene Hackman takes them to a football game because remember, it's Kenneth Mars and Edward Vince and Gene Hackman. They go to a Rams Raiders game, I think it is. That's when Joey Ziegler talks about, remember, he was just like, said something, talks about Arlene, the mom, and then and Gene Hackman gives him a weird look, like he could tell that. I mean, like I forget exactly what they said.
No, I know what you mean. He was saying something like, "We've all been with her," or something like that.
Yeah, something. And Gene Hackman kind of looked at her, but then they changed the subject right away, and he kind of went with it.
So he had a connection with Arlene. So it's like, well, if he got rid of the girl for Arlene, he was in with Arlene, but he wasn't necessarily in with the, because obviously Tom and Quentin and Marv were in on the smuggling. Like they were together on that. But
and you still don't even know how bad Jennifer Warren is either. She's in on it, but she seems like she's also.
But she's a broken person.
Yeah.
She was a hooker.
You think. That could be bullshit too.
Now listen, that's the key word, what you just said, because I wanted to bring this up to you. One thing watching it the second time that hit me is that every character in this movie, I believe every main character in this movie is a liar. Because Arlene obviously is lying about, really caring for her daughter. We know that the director, Joey or whatever is, he's lying.
Oh, the stunt guy.
Yeah, he's in with Arlene. We know that Quentin's lying. He's just a liar.
Mm-hmm. His wife.
Harry's wife is lying. Jennifer Warren is lying because he even confronts her on the boat that you were lying about all that stuff. And she said, well, so what? And then get this. So here's two things that I know. Well, one that I noticed, but one that we learned the first time around. So Harry lies. Harry lied about to his wife about the story about talking to his dad.
Yep.
And then get this. This is what I noticed tonight. So Harris Yulin, the guy that's boning his wife, the first time we see him, he's got a cane. Yeah. And he's got this limp. The second time we see him, when Harry busts in,
when he comes storming in,
he doesn't have a limp. He doesn't have a cane. He's just walking around.
And he did at the movie theater when he first saw him. He had the limp until he had to move fast. Yep.
Yeah, until he had to move fast. Like I honestly believe that's a key. Every character's lying. Like obviously his character is just making up shit. Like there's probably something like unwritten about that character, but that like, oh, he pretends, to have this limp either to get sympathy or also maybe that's how he survives, is that he doesn't, he's got disability or something. But they're all liars.
I like that. I also, what I noticed this time, last time I've seen this movie quite a few times, and I saw, whenever he drops off Melanie Griffith and there's that big fight in the driveway with James Woods, and then that new guy comes walking out. And he looks at him, he's like, oh God, there's a new guy now. That's Max Gell from Barney Miller.
Oh shit! So that's like a little small party hat.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
oh
pretty
damn!
cool.
I see it.
Oh shit, Max Gale.
Yeah, Max Gale. And guess what? I didn't know this until just now. Looking it up on IMDb, the young guy that Joey Ziegler slams on the table, that's Dennis Dugan.
Yeah,
who was like, I mean, acting wise, his big thing to me would be The Howling. You know, he was in the Howling, but
Yeah.
he became a director
Director too.
and
Yeah.
directs all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Actually, that I noticed that was him in there too. Also, I wanted to tell you, I wish we had Craig around. I wanted to ask Craig Rosback because I was reading up on this movie, and Arthur Penn actually was an early contender for the stuntman to direct the stuntman,
Oh
and
wow.
he actually took stuff from because it's all I guess they optioned that novel quite a few years before Stuntman was made. They took elements from the actual source novel that they put in Night Moves. So that's kind of cool.
I can totally see that because especially I mean, think about it with Stuntman. I mean, he's pretending to, there's
Yeah,
liars all through that because he's pretending to be someone he's not, and then
right.
the direct,
They're stuntmen,
yeah, they're
obviously,
stuntmen, obviously, yeah, yeah. I mean, this movie, I mean, it's full of like, I mean, the dialogue is crisp. Besides the Jennifer Warren bullshit,
Yeah, that always bugs me.
like I love when Jean goes and sees the Arlene, she's talking about I just had a bath. You want to take a bath? He's like, maybe later when I'm feeling really dirty.
Yeah.
He's
Remember when
like,
she held up the picture? She's like, I had great tits, and he's just sitting there smiling at her. That's
she's
hilarious.
fantastic. She's fantastic in it. I
You
mean, they're
know.
all so good. I was noticing this earlier. I was thinking about this. It's funny. Gene Hackman is a great Harry. He plays a lot of Harrys in movies.
Oh
You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean? It's
yeah.
like, and it's just kind of the perfect name for a guy like that, that looks like that.
This
Uh,
is prime Gene, like
oh
maybe
yeah.
Popeye Doyle, but besides that, this is my favorite performance, of his whole career, including the conversation and everything. I mean, this is prime Gene to me.
This is, I mean, I would say this for me, and because I love him in so many things, it'd be hard for me to pick like a specific one, but this is the type of movie that is perfect for him because he's, one, he's a big dude. He's like 6'3", he's a tall dude.
Yeah.
He's a tall dude. So a lot of times in these movies, especially like at this time period, 60s, 70s, maybe even earlier, like if they can't, it's like in what is it? Not semi tough. Well, semi tough is a good example, but also North Dallas 40.
Hmm.
Some of these guys don't look like football players. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
professional football players. Gene, this is 15 years. His character is 15 years after his career, or 10 years after his career. So I can see that. He's a linebacker. He's kind of let all the weight go and everything. But he's still like a tall dude. So I kind of buy it that he might have been, especially in the 70s when they
Oh
were all
yeah, no,
drinking
for
and
sure,
smoking
for sure.
anyway.
Yeah.
But
No, he
see, when
definitely
you
plays that well.
and you say, I mean, look, again, this is perfect, Gene, but in this time period, I mean, was there ever a better, like when you look at a decade? I mean, this guy had The French Connection, Prime Cut, which you introduced me to,
Oh, another classic.
Poseidon Adventure, Scarecrow, The Conversation, Young Frankenstein, Night Moves. I mean, he was
God
the
damn, yeah.
70s Superman, you know. I mean, he was the 70s. Like
Yeah.
every one of those are hits, legends.
Yeah. I love Scarecrow too.
Scarecrow's fantastic. I
Yeah,
mean,
Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah, that was
Bonnie and
60s.
Clyde.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, you could literally, I don't think that I mean, listen, he's done a lot of fucking movies and a lot of them I've never even seen too, but he had a stretch there that was just unmatched. There's not many people, maybe Pacino, but
Hmm.
there's not many that can match that. And this is right in the middle. I mean, this is to me, and all those movies I listed, me and you love those movies, and I can tell you, this is right there with the best of them. Like he is so he fits that role. It's a weathered, beaten down sort of,
He
and he
plays
has
like
that
he
look.
had all those guys. He has that man's man thing like Lee Marvin and it's
Yeah.
I love those guys.
That's what was funny is I was thinking like, man, that scene, the first time that him and Harris Yulin, the guy who's fucking his
Yeah.
wife, it's like the two of them have a great little scene together, but I was just thinking like you would never see this today where you got two just fucking, scraggly haired, old ass looking guys that are like sex symbols.
Oh,
Me?
that's one of the best parts about it. Like
It
Gene was like
is
a stud,
a
and it's
stud
fucking great.
with that mustache, a stud.
The ladies loved them, loved
Oh
them.
my God.
I have to ask you, did
Go
you
ahead.
ever hear? Okay, so do you know the story of Graham Parsons, the singer?
I know the whole death
Okay,
thing, the weird.
the weird. Okay, do you know? Okay, yeah. So there was his manager like stole his
Right.
ashes
Yes.
or
Stole,
corpse
no,
was
it stole his body.
his body
And
took it to
yeah.
party at Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
Okay, so this and that guy's name was Phil Kaufman. This is crazy. The house that James Woods lives in this movie,
Yeah,
right?
that little shack looking
The shack
thing.
house
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
belonged to Phil Kaufman.
No way.
And
Get
while
the
they
fuck.
were filming the movie, the cop showed up there to question him about stealing the body of Graham Parsons. And then I was reading up that Arthur Penn turned to Gene Hackman, was like, "Hey man, we're shooting the wrong movie."
That is fucking hilarious. So this happened at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
That is so, and it's like you just know that Philip Kaufman and is like letting them use the house and just smoking dope. I
Oh
mean, just
yeah.
joints everywhere. James Woods like, where's the coke? Where's the fucking
Oh yeah,
China?
yeah. Oh God, yeah. He
I
was definitely fucking doing some blow in that
and,
one.
and
Fucking he's
he's great. Yeah,
70s James Woods, the 70s and 80s, obviously. He was so intense and just every
super intense.
performance you can guarantee he's just gonna be fucking going nuts and doing all that James Woods shit.
It is crazy because it wasn't. I mean, he kind of perfected these characters forever. Like they're always edgy. There's like something, he's always, they're on something. It seems like they're always lit. It felt
Hmm.
like in every movie. Have you ever seen a movie where he's like subdued?
I
I've
know,
never
I
seen a
know.
movie where he's just like a very quiet guy. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And this is,
Uh,
I mean, I don't
Go
know.
ahead.
What do you like? Arthur Penn has made a lot of great movies, Bonnie and Clyde, we just mentioned and stuff, but I actually think this is my favorite of his
Well,
movies.
what's funny? I'm looking up right now because I mean I don't know every one of his movies, but I know a lot,
I don't
obviously.
either. I don't either, but
But
I know quite a few.
I mean, okay, so let's start there. Yeah, I mean, Bonnie and Clyde, I love.
Yeah.
But the
Hmm.
chase. I saw that at the New Bev, I think, once, and that's a really good movie.
Yeah, yeah, it
Uh,
is.
he directed The Miracle Worker,
Hmm.
which I mean, I saw that as a kid. That's like one of those
Right.
like, but that it won a ton of Academy Awards. I mean, it was a big time movie. And then you see him and he does Little Big Man, which my dad loved. Little Big
I mean,
Man.
that's a classic,
That's a classic. Night
Jesse
Move,
Vent.
Jesse Vent, Night Moves, Missouri Breaks, which I
Yeah.
really like. I've always enjoyed
No, those are good. But I think Night Moves is his best. I mean,
this might be his best. It's Night Moves and Bonnie and Clyde because I love Bonnie and Clyde, but you're right. It's like it could Night Moves is like the contemporary best of his, and Bonnie and Clyde is like
yeah.
his period piece.
I think with film noirs, like proper film noirs from like the 40s and all that, I mean, it's a great genre. I love old school. That from Double Indemnity, Maltese Falcon, all of them.
Oh yeah.
I'm a big fan. Neo-Noirs, when they're done well, from this, even Chinatown, which is a film noir, like a real one, because it takes
Yeah.
place in the time, but it's still in the 70s, it's in color,
Right.
and it's still
It's got a 70s
neo-noir.
vibe to it. It's
Yeah, it
totally got a
does, it
70s
does.
vibe.
But
Yeah.
all the way into like, Memento and Pulp Fiction, it's like when it's done right, it is such like a film fan movie. It's just like it's undeniably great every time. And
Yeah.
I think, and I mean, do you like LA Confidential?
I love LA Confidential.
Yeah, it's
I
fucking
mean,
awesome.
I love that's like a crackling movie.
Yeah.
That movie is just constantly just crackling.
That's one of my favorite movies,
Listen, I'll give you another great film noir, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I
Oh, of an
love,
updated of nowadays, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's like an updated, yeah. It's like, but I mean, these movies. But I guess what you're saying is like the movies that are more, just noir in general. I mean, when they're done well, they're fantastic. And they give you everything you need, which is, you're always going to get weird characters. because you need that. You need these strange off the wall type of, you're going to have, for the most part, you're going to have great dialogue because it's sort of like, not like dialogue heavy necessarily, but it's always, you got to have those one-liners.
But you got to also really have that dark view, cynical view of the world. And it always has to have that, doesn't always, but it has to have some type of downer ending in a way. And again, this is what this does so well. It really, I love the ending of Night Moves. But
I do too. I do too.
And yeah, no, film noir in general. Do you, I mean, I love the old 40s ones. Do you, have you ever been into any of those at all?
Yeah, I mean, my mom loved those. Like Maltese Falcon was one of her, like her top 3 all-time favorite movies. And, that's like, the Godfather kind of, or if not the Godfather, that's certainly one of the Mount Rushmore.
Well, yeah, absolutely. That Double Indemnity is probably,
no, I've never seen Double Indemnity.
That's the one you got to watch. Then.
I got to watch that.
The best old dialogue
I gotta
ever
see
in an old movie. But there's another great one with Robert Mitchum called Out of the Past. And
never saw it.
Yeah, there's so many.
Okay, so here's one that I really I actually had to watch this during like a college film appreciation class. It was The Third Man.
Oh, with Orson Welles.
That's a great one. Yeah, that was like, I saw this, I was like, holy shit. And it's so perfect, like his introduction, like he's dead the whole time. Isn't his name Harry in that?
Harry Lime.
I think it's Harry.
Yeah, Harry Lime.
Harry is like a noir movie, because in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Robert Downey Jr.'s Harry.
I've only seen that once. Okay.
Well, but that's, I mean, now I'm going to go home. I'm going to, later on, I'm going to be like researching. Is Harry just like, how many Harrys are in these film noir movies? But there's.
But I was watching also a thing earlier on Robert Altman, and they were talking about The Long Goodbye, and I was like, that's another one. It's just fucking perfect.
I love The Long Goodbye.
Yeah.
What is his name in that?
Philip Marlowe.
Oh, Philip Marlowe. That's
right.
He
plays Philip Marlowe. That's who Humphrey Bogart played. And have you ever seen the character Philip Marlowe that Humphrey Bogart also played in a few movies? But he made a famous Humphrey Bogart in a movie called The Big Sleep. And they remade it with Robert Mitchum a few years later. And not a few years later in the 70s. But yeah, have you ever seen The Big Sleep? It's so confusing. It's like famously confusing.
I've seen the black and white one because that was one of my mom's. Right. Yeah, that was one of my mom's. But the Robert Mitchum one, which I actually heard was pretty damn good.
I like it more than the Humphrey Bogart one, actually.
I know
that
was a good movie.
But it's awesome.
Because you got Robert Mitchum. So it's kind of like you got this badass. I want to see that one because I feel like I'll like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really good. It's online everywhere. I mean, supposedly it's based more. I never read the Raymond Chandler novel, but I think it's more faithful to it. Where The Big Sleep, the original, the mid 40s, 46, 45, 46. That one Howard Hawks directed. The studio was just making up scenes to keep him and Lauren Bacall in it together. So like half of it even makes sense.
Yeah. Because they, back then they were just like, we'll use the name. We don't give a fuck about
Yeah, no one gives a shit.
There was another one of that time that I actually had to see for that class. It was it Key Largo?
Oh, Key Largo. Yeah. It's a great movie.
That's the name. Yeah, that's where they're stuck at the hotel. Yeah. Edward G. Eddie G.
Yeah.
And this one just hit my head, and I'm like, here's one that I want to know, is this I think it's film noir. I think you'd consider it part of this 70s film noir, The Late Show with Art Carney.
That's a good question. I don't really know. It is a mystery. It's definitely a mystery,
And isn't he a private detective?
Yeah.
Private
detective. I don't, it kind of is. It kind of is.
Kind of.
But, I always think a movie like that, I already know it's almost cute. Him and Lily Tomlin, it's not going to be
it ends
awful
nice.
And it's a nice ending.
Yeah.
And
if she died, maybe it would be
right. Or you cover up something and you end up becoming a bad guy in the end. That's kind of like the LA Confidential thing, where they just kind of getting,
they're both. Yeah, they at the end they're kind of like, oh,
everyone just lies. Both full of shit.
Yeah, they're all full of shit.
Yeah,
that's a big thing. Everybody lies in noirs. It's like that's just everybody's lying. You
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
imagine
That's why Chinatown is,
it's
forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown.
it's Chinatown. It's like that's certainly on that Rushmore, but this is definitely of the top tier of
Mhm.
those movies. Top tier for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I actually, there's so many great ones. I know we're just stopping and just thinking
No, we're just
randomly, but I
this is
mean, tons of them, tons of them, and we could talk all day about the other ones as well. It Neo-Noir, like in the '70s versions of them were fantastic.
and it because it fit the 70s, like you when you were saying the ending of this movie, dark ass ending. Did we already say it for the audience? Did we already say
Yeah,
it
we
for the
did. We
audience?
gave it
Yeah.
away. We gave it
So
away.
you go,
But
we're
you're
gonna
right. It is.
good.
It is part of the times though, because the '40s. You had McCarthyism. You just came out of the war, and the '70s. You had Nixon and Watergate. So
Yeah.
film noir really
Yeah.
did fit the time.
Because everybody was questioning what was going on and like, who can you trust? And like even that ending where it's just going around and around, the boat's just,
That
it's
is
like,
such a cool ending. You're right.
yeah,
Talk about no resolution. That is the movie. He's shot in the leg, but he's alive. But they're in the middle of like the Gulf,
the
I
ocean.
think,
Yeah.
or are they the
No,
Atlantic
they are.
side?
Yeah, they're in the water. They're
Yeah,
in the
I'm
ocean
trying to
deep.
think of what side of the coast they're on because she said sunrise, so I think they're on the other side. They're not in the Gulf, but same shit. Anyways, he's in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere, in the middle of the fucking ocean. He's shot in the leg and he can't move, and he picks up this like the little fishing pole thingy or
Yeah, he's
whatever.
trying to reach over.
Yeah, and he just kind of hits the controllers, and he just is going in circles, and that's how it ends. I'd like to think he gets up eventually. He's just shot in the fucking leg. I mean, not
Right.
the.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but it's like I mean, here's the thing. The first time I saw it, like when that happened, I'm just kind of in the movie, so I didn't like notice every single detail. So when I was thinking like his whole leg was just shot up, right? When I
Mhm.
saw it the second time, it was like it was only one bullet that
Yeah,
hit him. But
yeah.
you kind of get the feeling that it hit like an artery or something because he's bleeding like crazy. And you get the feeling that and he's selling it. I mean, he is like in desperation pain. So you get the feeling that it probably hit an artery and he's going to be a goner too. But you know
He might be dying. You're right. He might die. He
he
may
might
have
die.
died. You
And
don't
the
know.
only person that I'm thinking is Tom. The stepfather, he didn't die. He was knocked out,
He was knocked out.
but he didn't die. He's the one that lives.
Shit, he may
So
have gotten away with it in the end.
he might at the end he might be the one that gets away with it because they made it a point to make sure that we realize like, oh no, he's just knocked out, he's still alive.
But that might be again why the movie didn't do well box office wise and didn't really become a major hit until really just recent. Now people are discovering it. There's someone who I follow on Twitter actually who wrote a book about the making of Night Moves. So there's definitely interest for the movie now. But back when it first came out, it really didn't have, it was definitely forgotten about.
And well, it's tough to sell. I could see like, I mean, hell, it's art that's reflecting society, right? You just said it with like Watergate and stuff. So this is a movie that is all about, it's dark, it's deep, and it's all about lies and liars and what is the truth and does the truth mean anything and blah blah blah. So it's definitely a reflection of the time. But then you get the other side where maybe people just didn't want to see that because they're just having to live that every day. Maybe they're
Yeah.
like, I don't want to go see, give me, whatever was popular that year. I don't know what year this was, 70s.
It was 75 it came out, I believe.
75
And
Jaws. So you got
well,
Jaws.
that's a good point because if people talk about the 70s, right? The 70s, that's the American New Wave, the 70s. But if you think about it, it's really like 67 to 77. Star Wars really ended it, but it could have been
Goddamn
Jaws as
Star
well.
Wars.
It got to the point, like remember we talked about that summer of 74 when Cockfighter was out? That was
Oh,
the
yeah.
last summer of just cool movies,
What
no
a great
blockbusters,
summer. How the
drive-ins.
hell did we miss that summer?
I know,
I mean,
right?
my God, like that. You're right. That was like the last
So
year.
yeah, this was the time. It was like we were. It didn't fully. It was still going strong, but it had a couple years left certainly. But people were probably starting to want to get into like being happy again.
Well, and you know what? Like, you're right on the money because 77 Star Wars, the next year you got Superman,
Hmm.
big movie, like
Yeah, they
it
blame
just
Heaven's Gate, but in the end, this was a work in progress to take back over the
right.
studios. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, it was definitely already coming. It was the big movies and the fun times and it was already coming. And I mean, I don't want to say fun times, but you know what I mean? Like the positive endings and whatnot. And it was just harder and harder to get people. I mean, because
Yeah.
Sorcerer, what an ending on that. That is a downer ending,
Oh
you
God,
know?
love the Sorcerer
I
ending.
mean, yeah, I love that ending. And yet that's a tough ending to sell.
Yeah, but didn't do
You
well. It didn't do well either.
didn't do well. Even like something like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, he dies at the end, and that's a major downer. But the Indian escapes.
Yeah, there's a
Big.
message there.
There's a
Right,
there's a
right.
positive, that swelling. There is a happiness somehow at the ending. It's
Yeah,
like
I agree.
so you gotta. It's almost like you gotta have a little of that.
Yeah.
And this is one of those movies you don't get none of that.
Yeah, it's when I first watched it a few years back, I remember thinking that it was like a happy ending, like he got away, yeah, he was gonna come back. And then I watched the second time I watched it, I just saw it going in a circle. Like you don't really see it going in a circle, you see it about to go in a circle, and that's when it kind
Yeah,
of fades out. So that's what I
yeah.
noticed the second time. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, is he just gonna go in circles? So
Which
yeah,
is
they leave it open.
totally makes it's like
There's some weird
that's
music in that too, huh?
oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
that's sometimes of a turn off too for me whenever it all of a sudden you're watching a movie, the music's somewhat, music's normal or whatever, it's good. And then there's like a sequence that all of a sudden has this weird, almost like a Giallo film. Like, remember what I'm talking about? Like that happy music when they're in
Yeah.
Florida real fast. I was like, what the fuck music is this?
Yeah, I mean, because you get it, like the beginning, I love the music at the beginning.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah,
groovy and total like 70s Dirty Harry,
yeah.
it's so much fun. And then you're right, by the time we get to Florida, it takes a different tone. And there's a couple of like original or not original songs, but like found music and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
that the vibe of the beginning is gone by then, the music wise. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
because I love that beginning music.
Oh, yeah, it was good. It was good. And when I watched it, like I watched it, actually I watched it today that was the most recent time I've watched it. And
Yeah.
when I was sitting there today, I was thinking, like, assuming he lives and everything, I'm just like just
Right.
assuming he gets back eventually, right? I was
Yeah.
like, is he going to get back with his wife, do you think? Or do you think she's already at fucking Harris Hewlin's house the moment he hopped on that plane at the end? Like, is it just
No,
one of those couples that are always just like they always kiss and make up, but it's just doomed, you know?
no, well, yeah, he's getting back with her. No, that's the thing. It's like when she's on this is what I got. When she's on the bed with him and he tells her he lied, that about
Hmm.
seeing his dad and talking to his dad years before, and she's like, "Why did you?"
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they kiss and all. That was pure love. Like that was just like, okay, they still love each other. I mean, he loves her, she loves him.
Well, he certainly needs her
He
because
needs her.
he never wanted to leave her. You know what I
No,
mean? Like he
no,
would
because
have,
look at them tits. Oh, you
yeah,
don't want to leave
he
them
would have
tits.
beaten the shit out of Harry Sheelan from the beginning, and like he didn't.
That's what
Like he
we
was
need.
almost sympathetic towards him the whole time. Just let him go always. And when she came to his office to make up, he kind of quickly, just started hugging her, and they were like instantly back together again.
Yeah. I think I mean, look, I think you kind of nailed it when everybody at this time period, I think she was just experimenting. She loves him. She ain't leaving him. And, he's got that, NFL dick he's been giving her for years. And even Harris says, even the guy that she's fucking says in that first scene, like, well, to me, it's not serious, but to her, you'll have to ask her. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he's not going to, he's not interested in staying with her. He's just getting himself.
Well, he's also trying to
screwed.
save his life too. He knows if he would have said serious, then it could have been
Oh, yeah.
could have been
Yeah.
more.
And then we would have been treated to this like all out brawl between these two old grizzled fucks.
Oh yeah, which we ended up getting anyway at the
Yeah,
end.
we did. We did. And again, that's like, they killed off the pretty boy with the hair, the Marv guy,
Yeah.
so you just had, besides James Woods, they're all old and kind of like just drinkers, heavy
Yeah,
drinkers.
it was definitely great. Well, that was the cool end side of Hollywood too, and like Hollywood still had those old school Andy McLaughlin type of characters running
Yeah.
loose that just go to like country bars and
Well, this is a great. I mean, that I love this. Yeah, I mean, like going back to just the characters, like all these characters are very different, very specific. And Marv is a very like, country girl at the Palomino, whatever. And
Mhm.
he's, yeah. Once you have a wife and or a mom and a daughter, it really gives you perception of things. It's like,
Yeah, that was funny.
damn, But to me, it is. I've said it already, but it's like hardcore. It's like
Yeah.
Prime Cut, which we'll have to do an episode one of these days on Prime Cut.
Oh yeah.
It is one of these movies from the 70s that is. It's like Scarecrow. It is a gem. And not many people know about it. Especially nowadays.
Mhm.
And there's so much going on, there's so many layers to it. Like I said, I mean, we get what does the chess mean? And the moves and the moves
Mhm.
that are like he's not making, and then you got everybody's lying, and then you got the plot, which is not convoluted. It's just it keeps you guessing, like who is in on what thing.
Right, especially for a film noir where they sometimes try to trick you within everything. But
Right.
this one's pretty straightforward. But the problem is, like we said, is you only know what Mosby knows. You're not like
Yes.
watching it from an outside point of view. You're in it with him. And at the end, you're stuck on the boat. You're going in circles and that's how it ends. So you
You're
don't
stuck
ever
with them,
know.
and and you don't know you don't know exactly. You just know that, like, okay, all these people were pieces of shit. That's all
Pretty
that
much.
they were all
Pretty much, yeah.
bastards, and
Yeah.
I didn't solve a goddamn
Which, if you
thing.
wanted to look at it, they bring it up really quick, is it looks like the only one who had the tiniest arc may have been Melanie Griffith's character. Like when she came back, remember they're like, did she seem like she was a little bit better to you? And so, there was like, she seemed like she was going to get her life together in the end. But yeah,
Yeah,
obviously.
and I noticed that, and Gene, because that he says that to her, is like, didn't you notice that? And Gene was like, no.
Yeah, he's like, no.
But again, that could just be because he didn't know all the information. He
Yeah.
might have,
Well, I also think it was him not wanting to think about her either, because he kind of liked her
Right.
too, as
Right.
in like a father figure way.
Yeah, man.
So it's crazy, but since we're running out of time, you got any final thoughts on the
All I know is
picture?
all you guys and gals out there, this is one you got to see. This ranks up there with Lifeguard, Hardcore, all the gems from the 70s that nobody sees, nobody knows about. You guys got to go see this. This is a hell of a movie.
It seems like Hollywood nowadays, it does feel like we're slowly coming out of this Marvel nightmare that we're in, and you are starting
Oh
to
my
see new
God.
movies getting made, like with plots and stuff like that. I think, since all these whodunit films came out over the past 5-6 years and kind of had a new boom with whodunits, I wouldn't mind seeing like really proper film noir kind of get reborn again and come out in a different way and have new ones get made. That would be great,
I'm right there with you. I think especially in this climate, I mean, with nobody trusting nothing.
Yeah, no, it's prime time to do it. They just have to get greenlit. I mean, you can have an indie film do it, but in the end, Hollywood has to do it. That's
Yeah. And we got to find us another Melanie Griffith.
Oh my God, Tom! Oh, he's still breathing. If you want him dead so much, why don't you come on and kill him? Fucking fools. Hit!
What the hell is going on?
Hit!
I want to know, goddammit, what the
Don't
hell?
we all, Harry? Don't
Cut
we
that
all?
out. I've been listening to your ping-pong talk long enough. What was in Marv Elman's plane? Drugs? Was it drugs?
No drugs. We're smuggling in something from the Yucatan. It's a piece of junk worth $500,000, according to Tom. They've been flying it in piece by piece. The crazy bastards have been at it for months. It's crazy. The whole thing. Crazy.
Where is this $500,000 worth?
It's out there. Over the shelf, out past where we found the plane.
All right, come on, let's go.
You mean you're gonna solve the case and find the boodle?
That's right.
Can you dive 80 feet?
No.
Then you're lucky to have me with you, aren't you?
Get on.
Come on, Harry. We're gonna catch the sunrise.